best to collect the drink containers. Those will be sent to the state police crime lab. So we still have to confirm that something did happen. It's suspicious, and that may have happened. But that's where it all started, to when they collected the information. At that point, when we had more than a couple people make complaints, we figured that maybe there was a situation we'd look deeper into, and we started an investigation and interviews and things of that nature.
And where's that investigation today? Have you narrowed down potentially someone doing something nefarious? I mean, where are we at now?
It's very preliminary at this point. With the interviews and the information that's still coming forward, I don't want to release any statements from people that we've received so far. But we have to confirm that substance. It does take some time through the state police crime lab to confirm that. If that is the case, we would want to put this behind us as soon as possible. If anybody has any information or would like to come forward, that's probably the best way to handle this. In speaking with the other law enforcement agencies, the state police and the sheriff's department, we have just about whatever resource we need to come to a conclusion, but we'd like that sooner than later. I think that's best for everybody involved.
What were some of the symptoms? I know you understand students were feeling sick and some went to medical care.
When they came to the school staff, they told us about their symptoms, and after about the fourth student, we thought something's going on here, and they told us what they had to drink. We'd rather not get into symptoms right now, as that's part of our investigation, and hopefully people will come forward either being sick or with any evidence or information about somebody who may have done this. You know, we don't even know if it's a substance yet. So, but as soon as the students informed us that they weren't feeling well, we cleared the drinks away. You know, we made sure that they didn't have access to those drinks anymore, and one student was taken by ambulance, another sought medical care on her own after the incident, and then we've had many other reports. We don't even have a scope of how many students necessarily, so that's why we do need as much information to come forward so we can find out what really happened.
So on Saturday night, from what I understand, staff and police at the dance, they secured the beverage containers. What kind of led to the assumption that something possibly was put in the drinks? Was there anything that gave kind of an indication of that?
I would say the commonality of sickness. It was hot. It's a dance, you know, in our grand hall, and but as the symptoms were sounding the same and connected to beverages, we just thought we need to get these out of here just in case. And once that happened, we didn't hear reports of additional sickness.
What kind of containers were the drinks served in? Were they open? Were they bottled?
That is a great question, and I'd like to hold on answering that as well. Okay? I can tell you that we're looking at our procedures and changing them, you know, so we don't have, just as a precautionary incident, we don't want this to happen again, but we'll hold on any information. Once we're completed, we'd be happy to give more information in the specific details.
Chaperones at the dance, how many, and were they monitoring the drinks at all? Is that a part of their task?
Not necessarily, because we just don't expect this to happen, and the containers weren't as such that they would need constant monitoring. So there were chaperones present. There's always one law enforcement officer present. We have a district safety officer present. Our administrators were there. So enough supervision to see if anything happened. We also have video cameras that we've reviewed and monitored. Of course, it's dark. So that's why we're passing the video on for the experts to take a look and see what they can do with their enhanced systems.
So, for you, Superintendent, obviously a lot of parents concerned about this right now. What you want to say to the parents here, students at the school, this is something that we're taking very seriously. Absolutely.
We are taking this seriously. As we've gone through COVID, safety is of utmost importance to all of us. Our heart breaks when we know that our students became ill, possibly from our environment and under our care. We want families and students to feel safe coming to our campus, and this is just one thing that puts a little doubt into their trust in us. So know that this is serious, and anything that happens on our campus that jeopardizes our students' well-being, we take action and we partner with Chief and the rest of the police department.
And following up on that for the chief, obviously we know about kids, throughout time, messing around, whether it's at homecoming, prom. Why is this something that's being taken seriously as far as a law enforcement perspective?
Well, anytime you have a substance people react differently to drugs or other substances. There could be allergies that go, or just reaction. People react differently to different substances. We're thankful that this isn't as bad as it could have been. If somebody did something like that, and we've yet to confirm that, there's no way of knowing who's going to ingest that and what their reaction is going to be. So it was not a very good judgment by anybody who may have done this.
And would that mean, potential charges for someone down the line if they were proven to have done something like that?
Absolutely. That's why I think the quicker, the better, the less resources expended. I think that would be a wise move. That we also have a silent observer that's offered funds. That money has been increased substantially. So there's incentive for people to come forward with information to help the investigation. It's probably good reason for people that may know what happened to come forward as well.
That is so important to us, that those that have information, but they're afraid to come forward, to report to Silent Observer. No one will know, but it's so important that you take that stand and step forward and help us solve this. We can't do it without you.
You have to think, if this was your child that went to the ER, these parents come in here, we identify with them. As parents, as police officers, as school administrators, we care about kids in the community, and this is a priority one.
And you mentioned charges as a consequence if someone was responsible for this. What would be the consequences on the school end? Is this suspension? Is this expulsion? What does that look like if someone were to be responsible for this?
That really depends at this point, but we would certainly follow our board policy and our high school student handbook.
So I know Chief last night it mentioned to me about at rough count about 5 students who had talked to you on Saturday night. How many students have come forward afterwards? Has there been a good number of folks that have maybe heard about this and now have given you that information that you're looking for?
I'm sure that number will climb. We should probably wait a few days before we start speculating anymore. This is very preliminary, and we can rule out people that come in and they explain this to us, and we could say it probably didn't happen to them, or if it is, we take their name and information regardless. But let's hold on to that for just a little while. We're still very preliminary in this investigation.
I do want everybody to know that it wasn't a widespread where half of the attendees were sick, because then we would be looking at something bigger. Is it something else in the environment? So know that it's several at this point. But again, we need more information.
If it was airborne, you'd have everybody in that environment sick. So that's why the officers in their experience said, well, it's not airborne, we're not affected, this is just a few in number. So they grabbed what the superintendent said, what was common to those people there, and that's why they grabbed the beverages. Again, we're acting on suspicions, we still have to confirm, but that was a good move on their part. School security and law enforcement was there, and hopefully we have some answers soon.
Questions? All right.
Is that a wrap?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Thank you, Chief.
Oh, you bet.
down.
Nate, by the way.
Oh, Nate, I saw you on the news yesterday.